Hey, 42 here. And today we're going deep. Really deep. What you're about to hear is the result of months of research. Government documents from the National Archives. Declassified reports from the Department of War's Pursue portal. The ODNI 2024. AARO Historical Review.it. Congressional testimony from Navy pilots. The French Commander report. The UK Ministry of Defence UFO files. And a pattern of secrecy that stretches back nearly 80 years. By the time we're done, you're going to see UAPs differently. Not as aliens. Not as conspiracy theories. But as one of the most fascinating information control operations in human history. Let me be clear about my own bias. I want to believe. I really do. But I also believe in evidence. And the evidence tells a complicated story. Let's start at the very beginning. Part 1. Before the modern era, 1947 to 2004. On the night of April 14, 1971, in Forestville, Kentucky, a man by the name of Tim Woods saw a crazy flash in the sky. He was standing in his backyard when the whole sky lit up blue for 3 seconds. Then nothing. No sound. No aftermath. Just darkness. Tim reported it to the local sheriff. The sheriff filed a report. And that report sat in a filing cabinet for 55 years. Until it was released through the Pursue portal in 2026. Tim Woods is not alone. There are thousands of Tim Woodses. Going back decades. And the government has been collecting their stories since before most people were alive. It starts in 1947. Kenneth Arnold, a pilot flying near Mount Rainier, reports seeing 9 crescent-shaped objects flying at incredible speed. A reporter coins the term flying saucers. And the modern UFO era begins. 3 weeks later, Roswell. A rancher finds debris on his property. The Army Air Force says it's a flying disc. Then they retract. Say it's a weather balloon. For decades, conspiracy theorists argue it was a crashed alien spacecraft. In the 1990s, the Air Force releases 2 reports explaining it was actually Project Mogul, a classified balloon program designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests. The debris matches Mogul balloon materials. Neoprene, potty, balsa wood, radar reflectors. Case closed. But the myth persists to this day. Project Sign, PUTS, 1948. The Air Force's first official UFO investigation. They concluded some sightings were real aircraft, possibly of extraterrestrial origin. Their report was suppressed. Project Sign became Project Grudge. Grudge concluded all UFOs were misinterpretations of natural phenomena. Project Blue Book. From 1952 to 1969. The longest-running official UFO investigation. 12,618 cases investigated. 701 remained unexplained. But here's what most people don't know. The unexplained cases were not necessarily extraterrestrial. They were cases where there wasn't enough data to reach any conclusion. The Air Force's official conclusion. No threat to national security. No evidence of extraterrestrial technology. Let me give you some specific Blue Book cases. The 1952 Washington, D.C. flyovers. Multiple radar sites detected objects over the White House and Capitol. Air Force jets scrambled. The official explanation: temperature inversion caused false radar returns. Pilots saw nothing unusual. Case closed. The 1964 Socorro, New Mexico landing. Police officer Lonnie Zamora saw a landed craft with a flame and a symbol on the side. Blue Book investigated extensively. Their conclusion: likely a hoax or misidentification of an experimental craft from nearby White Sands. No physical evidence was ever found. The 1966 Dexter, Michigan case. Multiple witnesses, including police, saw lights hovering over a swamp. The Air Force explained it as swamp gas. It became a joke. But the explanation was actually based on real science. Bioluminescent methane from decomposing vegetation. The witnesses were not convinced, but no evidence of anything else was ever produced. The Robertson Panel. 1953. The CIA brought together 5 scientists to evaluate the best UFO cases. Their conclusion was not that UFOs were imaginary. It was that public interest in UFOs was a national security threat. Why? Because mass sightings could overwhelm communication systems during a Soviet attack. Their recommendation: a public debunking campaign using media and education to reduce public interest. This is documented in declassified CIA records. They literally planned to make people stop taking UFOs seriously. And it worked. The Condon Committee. 1966 to 1968. The University of Colorado, funded by the Air Force, conducted a comprehensive study. Led by Dr. Edward Condon taught. Their 1969 report concluded that nothing in UFO data warranted further scientific study. But here's the controversy. Many scientists involved disagreed with the conclusion. One of Condon's own staff, Dr. David Saunders, wrote a dissenting report. The methodology was criticized. Condon was accused of bias. But the political impact was clear. Blue Book was shut down in 1969. Betty and Barney Hill. 1961. An interracial couple driving through New Hampshire sees a strange light following them. They report missing time. Under hypnosis, they describe being taken aboard a craft and examined by humanoid beings. It's the most famous abduction story in history. But skeptics note that Betty had been watching a TV show about alien abductions called The Outer Limits weeks before. And the star map Barney drew under hypnosis matches no known celestial arrangement. The hypnosis itself is controversial. Many psychologists argue it can produce false memories. Travis Walton. 1975. A logger in Arizona claims he was abducted by a UFO for 5 days. His story inspired the movie Fire in the Sky. Polygraph tests were inconclusive. Some investigators believe it was a hoax to cover up something else. Others believe him. There's no physical evidence either way. Rendlesham Forest. 1980. The UK's most famous UFO case. US Air Force personnel at RAF Woodbridge in England report seeing strange lights in the nearby forest. Some claim to have touched a craft with alien symbols. But the official Ministry of Defense investigation concluded it was likely the Orford Nest Lighthouse combined with misidentification. A retired USAF colonel named Charles Halt, who was present, disagrees. But his own tape recording from that night mentions the lighthouse. Westall. 1966. Melbourne, Australia. Over 200 students and teachers at a high school saw a silver craft descend into a field, then take off. The Australian government investigated. Their conclusion remains classified. But independent researchers could never find evidence of a cover-up. The most likely explanation: an experimental aircraft or weather balloon. Ariel School. 1994. Rua, Zimbabwe. 62 school children reported seeing a craft and beings. This is one of the most credible cases because multiple children independently described the same thing. But skeptics note it happened soon after a popular TV show about aliens aired in Zimbabwe. And the children's stories were heavily media influenced. Every single one of these famous cases has a mundane explanation that fits the evidence. Not always proven, but plausible. And in every case, the true believers reject the mundane explanation in favor of the extraordinary one. This is crucial. Part 2. The Modern Era. 2004 to 2020. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Because the 2004 Nimitz encounter changed everything. The USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group. November 2004. Training exercises off the coast of San Diego. The Princeton, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser with the advanced Spy-1 radar system, detects multiple unidentified objects. They're descending from 80,000 feet to sea level in less than a second. No known aircraft can do that. The Princeton's radar operator, a highly experienced technician named Kevin Day, is baffled. Commander David Fravor is launched in an F-18 Super Hornet. He sees a white tic-tac-shaped object hovering above churning water. The object is bouncing around erratically. When Fravor descends to investigate, the object mirrors his movement. Then it accelerates instantly and disappears. Later, a training exercise with an F-18 equipped with the advanced flare pod records the same object. This is the Fleron video that went viral in 2017. The Nimitz case has everything. Multiple witnesses, radar data, optical footage, official investigations, congressional testimony. It's the strongest case in UAP history. But even here, there are questions. The parallax analysis of the Fleron video suggests the object might not be moving as fast as it appears. The video lacks a consistent reference frame. Some analysts argue it could be an advanced drone with novel propulsion. The churning water below could be caused by the same object or could be an unrelated submarine. Commander Fravor is absolutely certain of what he saw. But absolute certainty is not the same as evidence. Now let's talk about the other famous videos. GIMBAL, 2015. Recorded off the East Coast. An object that appears to rotate in a way that seems to defy physics. But the Pentagon's analysis suggests the rotation could be a sensor artifact caused by the flare pod's gimbal system. The object itself is likely a drone. GOFAST. NYT AATIP. 2015. An object zipping at high speed just above the water. The parallax analysis shows the object is actually much lower and slower than it appears. The apparent speed is created by the aircraft's own motion combined with zoom. The object is probably a small drone flying close to the surface. Ryan Graves. 2014 to 2015. The USS Theodore Roosevelt strike group. F-18 pilots off the coast of Virginia Beach report seeing UAPs almost daily. Graves later testified before Congress. His description: objects with no visible exhaust, operating in restricted airspace, appearing at altitudes where manned aircraft shouldn't be. The Navy officially acknowledged these encounters, but they've never confirmed the objects were extraterrestrial. David Grusch, 2023. Former intelligence official. Leaked to the news media. Testified before Congress under oath. His claim: the US government has a secret multi-decade program to retrieve and reverse engineer non-human spacecraft. He says he was denied access to this program when he asked about it. His testimony is extraordinary. But here's the problem. Grusch has not produced any evidence. He says the evidence exists, but he can't access it. This is not how evidence works. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Part 3. The government response. 2017. The New York Times publishes the story of AATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. A $22 million Pentagon program run by Luis Elizondo. Its mission: investigate UAP encounters. The Pentagon admits AATIP existed, but they say it ended in 2012. Elizondo disputes this, claiming it continued beyond that. The truth is probably somewhere in between. AATIP was likely a small program that was allowed to die quietly. It became famous only after the NYT story. 2020. The UAP task force is created. The UAPTF standardized reporting across the military. And the reports flood in. By 2022, the UAPTF had received 366 reports. By 2024, that number had more than doubled. 2022. AARO is created. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office replaces the UAPTF. Bigger budget. More staff. More authority. Headed by Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, a physicist and intelligence community veteran. 2024. AARO publishes its historical review. 757 UAP reports between 1945 and 2023. 118 fully resolved. Everyone mundane. 639 unresolved with insufficient data. Died. Here are the specific numbers from the AARO report. 757 total reports reviewed. 118 resolved. Balloons 48, drones 22, birds 18, aircraft 15, satellites 9, atmospheric phenomena 6. 218 had insufficient data for any conclusion. 421 had some data but not enough for resolution. 0 had evidence of extraterrestrial technology. 0 had evidence of breakthrough physics. 0 had evidence of non-human intelligence. Let me read directly from the report. AARO found no evidence that any UAP sighting represents extraterrestrial technology or off-world technology. All resolved cases were attributable to mundane sources. The report also specifically investigated KONA BLUE, the supposed secret program to retrieve non-human biologics. AARO determined KONA BLUE was a prospective and not approved program. It was proposed, never funded, never staffed, never existed. Someone heard a rumor. It spread. Within a decade, it was accepted as fact in UFO communities. Let me say that again. A program that never existed became one of the most famous UFO conspiracy theories. Because someone heard a rumor, and it spread. Part 4. The Pursue Portal. What's actually in it? On May 8, 2026, the Department of War launched Pursue.R, the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters. war.gov/UFO. Let me tell you exactly what's in there. Infrared stills captured over the western United States in 2025. These are from military aircraft sensors. They show objects with unusual heat signatures. Not warm enough for jet engines. Not cold enough for inert debris. Something in between. The Pentagon says these are unresolved, but likely sensor artifacts or atmospheric phenomena. Military training footage from the Middle East. 2022 to 2025. Mostly drones. Some birds. A few genuine unknowns that turned out to be Allied aircraft operating without transponder signals. Footage from Greece. Japan. Africa. Each location has its own set of sightings. Most are mundane. A few remain puzzling. None are definitively alien. Apollo 17 moon mission footage. 1972. The astronauts saw what they described as flashes on the lunar surface. Were they alien spacecraft? No. No way. The official explanation is static electrical discharge from the lunar module combined with cosmic rays hitting the astronauts' retinas. National Archives Record Group 615. This is new. A dedicated record group for UAP material. Think about what that means. The National Archives doesn't create record groups for conspiracy theories. They create them for historically significant categories of records. The Manhattan Project. Presidential libraries. UAP material. It tells you the government is taking this seriously as a historical record. But here's what's not in the Pursue portal. No alien bodies. No recovered spacecraft. No reverse engineering programs. No contact with non-human intelligence. Nothing that confirms the most extraordinary claims. Part 5. The Congressional Hearings. November 2022. The first public congressional hearing on UAPs in over 50 years. The House Intelligence Committee. Bipartisan. Witnesses included the Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. April 2023. A second hearing. This time, the witnesses are the whistleblowers. David Grusch. Ryan Graves. David Fravor. Grusch's testimony was the most explosive. He claimed the US has recovered non-human biologics. He claimed there are multiple programs. He claimed he was denied access to information he was legally entitled to see. But here's what you need to understand about congressional testimony. It's not a court of law. There is no cross-examination. Witnesses can say almost anything without immediate consequences for the truth of their statements. The penalties for lying to Congress are real, but they apply only to statements that can be proven false. Grusch's claims cannot be proven false because he provides no evidence that can be tested. Congress was clearly excited by the testimony, but their subsequent actions are revealing. They requested more information from the intelligence community. They got very little back. The hearings generated headlines but no policy changes. No new laws. No new funding specifically for UAP retrieval programs. Because Congress couldn't verify Grusch's claims either. Part 6. The international perspective. The US is not alone in investigating UAPs. And the international evidence is just as inconclusive. United Kingdom. The Ministry of Defense maintained a UFO desk until 2009. They released thousands of pages through FOIA requests. Their conclusion: nothing of national security interest. The desk was shut down. The files were transferred to the National Archives. Anyone can read them. They're full of sightings of planes, clouds, and balloons. France. The French space agency SNAINS has a department called Japan. It's been investigating UAP reports since 1977 using scientific methodology. They've analyzed thousands of cases. Their conclusion: most are mundane. A small percentage remain unexplained but not evidence of aliens. France has a searchable online database of all their cases. Go look at it. You'll see report after report that resolves into something ordinary. Chile. The Chilean government has CIFA, the Committee for the Study of Anomalous Aerial Phenomena. They investigate cases including the 2014 video from a Navy helicopter that shows an object emitting a plume. The Chilean investigation was inconclusive. Could be a drone. Could be a sensor artifact. Not aliens. Brazil. Brazil has one of the most open UFO policies in the world. Their Air Force officially recognizes UFOs and has investigated cases. The famous 1996 Varginha case involved claims of a creature being captured. Brazilian officials denied having any alien bodies. Investigation by journalists later suggested the creature was actually a homeless person with a medical condition. China. China has announced its own UAP investigation program. They claim to have detected unusual objects, but their findings are classified. Hard to evaluate. Russia. Russia allegedly investigated UAPs during the Soviet era. Their records are inaccessible. What we know comes from second-hand accounts after the fall of the Soviet Union. None of these accounts have been verified. The global pattern is the same. Governments investigate, find nothing extraordinary, release selected information, and the mystery persists. Part 7. The Skeptical Framework. Let me give you a framework for evaluating UAP claims. I call it the 4 questions. Question 1. Is there reliable sensor data from multiple independent sources? Radar plus infrared plus optical plus acoustic is much stronger than one sensor alone. Question 2. Is there multiple independent witness testimony? One person is interesting. 10 people who didn't talk to each other is compelling. 100 is hard to dismiss. Question 3. Is there physical evidence that can be independently verified? Something you can touch, measure, analyze in a lab. Question 4. Have all mundane explanations been ruled out? Balloons, drones, birds, aircraft, satellites, Starlink trains, lens flares, sensor artifacts, atmospheric optics, astronomical objects, hoaxes, misidentification. Apply these questions to the famous cases. Nimitz, strong on 1 and 2. Weaker on 3 and 4. No physical evidence was recovered. A drone explanation hasn't been fully excluded. GIMBAL, strong on 1. Weak on 3. The strange rotation could be a sensor artifact. GOFAST, strong on 1. Weak on 3. The apparent speed is an artifact of parallax and zoom. O'Hare, 2006, strong on 1 and 2. But resolved as a hole punch cloud phenomenon. Phoenix Lights, 1997, very strong on 2. Thousands of witnesses. But resolved by FOIA documents as military flares combined with civilian aircraft. The more evidence you demand, the fewer cases remain unexplained. The cases that remain unexplained are not evidence of aliens. They're evidence of insufficient data. Let me also address a common argument. The government wouldn't investigate UAPs for 80 years if there was nothing to find. Actually, the government investigates lots of things that turn out to be nothing. They investigated whether fluoride in water was a communist plot. They investigated whether rock music was corrupting youth. They investigated ESP and remote viewing. Governments investigate things because the public demands it, not because there's evidence. The UAP investigations are a perfect example. The public demands answers. The government investigates. The results are always mundane. But the public doesn't accept the results. So the government investigates again. It's a cycle that has repeated for 80 years. Part 8. The Sociology of Belief. Why do people believe in alien visitation so strongly despite the lack of evidence? Pattern recognition. Humans are pattern-seeking creatures. We see faces in clouds, conspiracies in coincidences, agency in randomness. This evolutionary trait kept our ancestors alive, but it makes us prone to seeing aliens where there are only balloons. Agent detection. 1. When something strange happens, we assume an agent caused it. A person, a group, a government, an alien. This is more comforting than accepting that strange things happen for no clear reason. Narrative bias. Stories about secret government programs and hidden alien technology are more interesting than weather balloons and sensor glitches. We remember the exciting story. We forget the boring explanation. Community and identity. UFO belief creates community. Online forums, conferences, YouTube channels. It becomes part of people's identity. Challenging it feels like a personal attack. The backfire effect. When presented with contradictory evidence, many people double down. NYT AATIP. The AARO report says no aliens? That proves the government is covering up. The Starlink effect. In 2023 alone, 911 UAP reports to AARO were attributed to Starlink satellite trains. SpaceX has launched over 7,000 Starlink satellites. They looked like a string of moving lights in the sky. Thousands of people reported them as UFOs before they knew what they were. I'm not saying this to be dismissive. Understanding why we believe helps us evaluate evidence more honestly. Part 9. What's actually going on? So what's really happening here? Multiple things simultaneously. 1. Some UAPs are real physical objects we don't yet understand. They could be advanced drones from foreign adversaries. Experimental US aircraft. Natural phenomena we haven't categorized. Not being able to identify them doesn't make them alien. 2. Most UAPs are mundane things misidentified. The human brain is terrible at estimating size, distance, and speed of objects in the sky. A drone at 500 feet looks like a UFO at 50,000 feet. A balloon at 30,000 feet looks like an alien spacecraft. A Starlink train at 350 miles altitude looks like a fleet of UFOs. 3. The government uses UAP secrecy to hide real programs. Foreign surveillance, experimental aircraft, covert operations. By lumping everything under the UAP umbrella, they can admit to unexplained sightings without revealing what they're actually doing. This is a well-documented intelligence technique called plausible cover. 4. UAP transparency is a political winner. It polls well. It creates distraction. It looks transparent while revealing nothing of substance. In an election year, this is invaluable. 5. The conspiracy theory industry is self-sustaining. YouTube channels, TikTok accounts, podcasts, conferences all depend on the mystery continuing. If UAPs were resolved tomorrow, a massive content ecosystem would collapse. There's a financial incentive to keep the mystery alive. I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying UFO believers are stupid or gullible. Many of them are thoughtfully engaging with genuinely puzzling phenomena. The problem is not the believers. The problem is that the evidence does not support the extraordinary conclusion. Part 10. Where we go from here. The Pursue portal will continue releasing documents, more videos, more reports, more analysis. The internet will continue debating every frame. A small number of cases will remain genuinely puzzling. But here's my prediction. In 10 years, we'll look back at this moment the same way we look back at the 1950s UFO craze, as a fascinating cultural phenomenon driven by mystery, psychology, and information control. The truth is out there. But it's not aliens. The truth is that the government has been managing public perception of UAPs for more than 70 years. Not to hide extraterrestrial contact. To hide their own surveillance programs, experimental aircraft, and bureaucratic incompetence. The truth is that most sightings are mundane. The small percentage that aren't immediately explained are not evidence of aliens. They're evidence that identifying every single object in the sky is genuinely difficult. The truth is that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And despite decades of claims, that evidence has never materialized. Not in the Pursue portal. Not in the AARO report. Not in any declassified document. But here's what else is true. Something is happening in our skies. Pilots are seeing things. Radars detecting things. Sensors are recording things. And we don't know what they all are. That's not a cover-up. That's the honest reality of operating advanced technology in a complex environment. There are always unknowns. The job of science and investigation is to reduce those unknowns. And that's what AARO is doing. That's what Pursue is doing. Slowly, methodically, boringly resolving cases one at a time. It's not as exciting as aliens. But it's real. Hey. 42 here. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you made it this far, you care about the truth. And I respect that. Here's what I want you to do. Go to war.gov/UFO. Read the documents yourself. Look at the AARO report. Explore the National Archives ARG 615 records. Watch the declassified videos. And ask yourself, does this look like evidence of extraterrestrial visitation, or does it look like a government trying to clean up decades of secrecy and confusion? Make up your own mind. That's the whole point. I've also made shorter videos covering specific cases from this deep dive. The Nimitz breakdown. The KONA BLUE investigation. The Pursue portal walkthrough. The AARO report analysis. Links in the description. If you want to support this kind of research, subscribe. Share this video. Keep asking questions. Keep demanding evidence. Keep thinking critically. Because whatever you decide about UAPs, one thing is certain. The truth is out there. It's just probably not what you think it is. See you next time. This is 42, signing off.